What's up everybody, this is Rabith and we're going to be summarizing module 6 for course 2 Humber Real Estate Salesperson program, and I'm going to be summarizing lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, and if I can't complete everything in one video I'm going to be making another one for 5, 6, 7, and 8. So let's get started. In lesson 1 they talk about residential lot styles and features. The summary, basically like the lesson summary, wasn't that good, so I'm just gonna skip through the pages and just read out the most important thing. You'll need to use the proper terminology for residential lots. This will help you build confidence. Okay, and residential lots shapes. There's a rectangular, square, wide, shallow, pre-shaped, pie-shaped and reverse pie-shaped lot, and then there's corner lots. Rectangular lots identified by having the front and rear property lines equal and the two side property lines equal. Square lots are identified by all four sides of the lot having the same measurement. With this style of lot, there could be more option for the placement of the structure, as it could be situated to one side of the property. Wide shallow lot is identified by its reduced depth and ample frontage. A wide shallow lot features the yard area to the side of the structure rather than at the back, and it is not as common within residential neighborhoods. A pie-shaped lot is identified by the relatively smaller frontage when compared to the larger rear yard area of the lot. However, owners may prefer this lot shape because of its larger size, larger space for the backyard, which allows for various structures and other improvements to the building. A corner lot is located at the intersection of two roads, and it is identified by additional size and deeper setback requirements on the one side of the property and abuts the road. The additional lot size is required to compensate for the setback requirements. This is a very beneficial lot for homeowners seeking additional side yard space. So this was important, and we're gonna skip the. So the next important part that I found that we should know are the residential lot considerations. So shape of the lot will impact construction of a home and should be carefully reviewed to ensure buyers' needs. Additional costs. An irregular shaped lot such as L shape can provide an overall lot size that is satisfactory. However, due to the shape, the placement of any structures can be negatively impacted. Property direction. The direction of a property faces, thus the placement and exposure of the home may affect the property's desirability. For example, if a buyer prefers a property that allows the structure to be exposed to morning sun rather than exposed to the heat of the afternoon sun, depending on the design, a buyer may want the property to face to the direction that allows for a longer or lesser amount of direct sunlight. Property features are important considerations. A lot that has treed or bush area or a small stream can be considered more desirable. Surrounding noise. The surrounding property uses, the proximity of nearby nuisances such as excessive noise, heavy traffic, property near an airport could potentially decrease the value of a property. The process of obtaining a survey. You should understand the importance of survey because information obtained from reviewing a survey will enable you to assess the need to advise the seller or buyer. Confirming a survey is required. A survey is important for both purchase and during the ownership of the property. Providing a survey will be required to obtain financing approval or required building permits. Obtaining a survey. Once the need for a survey is established, a leading practice for a salesperson is to provide the name of at least 3 professional land surveyors to the party paying for the survey, who can select one and hire them to survey the property. Receiving the survey, the final step is for the surveyor to complete the required survey for the client. This will require a site visit depending on the location and the schedule of a surveyor. This could take up to weeks. A surveyor's real property report, we know what that is. You can read it if you want. Already discussed this in course 1. Source document to verify lot size. So there's Geo Warehouse, Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, and additional secondary sources. I believe this was all in lesson 1. Yeah, basically all that you need to know in lesson 1. So like I said, this didn't really explain anything. That's why I just didn't read this. I went through the lesson. We're gonna go to lesson 2 now. It's residential housing types and styles. We learned this in course 1, but we're gonna go through it quickly. So there's attached structure, detached structure, semi-detached structure, and linked structures. These are the residential housing types. And residential housing styles, there's a bungalow, there's a ranch style bungalow, there's a split level structure, and there's a bi-level structure. Residential townhouses are also called row houses, which 3 or more units are joined together by a party wall. And there are multi-residential housing types. For example, the duplex, there's 2 dwellings, triplex, 3 dwellings, fourplex, 4 dwellings. And let's just do this 1 second. Which one of the following is an image of a linked dwelling? Number 4. Let's see if we got it correct. Oh yeah, we did. And which one is a bi-level? Bi-level is number 1. Correct. Which one is triplex? Triplex, number 1. Yeah. Which one? Okay, never mind. Land planning and structure placement. Land planning is a process of regulating the use of any land to promote more desirable social and environmental outcomes. While there are land planning benefits to the property owner, there are other benefits as well, as it provides a framework for the expansion and addition of secondary structures. And yeah, factors that influence land use and structure placement: zoning, topography, site plan, soil conditions, water tables, lot size, and service available. So zoning is zoning bylaw is a document having the legal status of an ordinance or subsidiary law used by municipalities to regulate the use of land. Topography can influence land use and structure placement, particularly on a sloping site, which can influence design factors for a structure. Site plan control is a method of development regulation imposed by a municipality. During the planning and development process, site plan can affect land use and structure placement in several different ways. Soil conditions can significantly influence the location of structures. Building foundations require stable and strong soil to retain structural integrity, as building systems are constructed on top of them. Water tables and flooding. Properties located within floodplains typically fall under the regulation of the conservation authorities, who are directly involved in administration of floodplains. Regulated areas refer to lands adjacent to watercourses that require special consideration. Lot size of a residential lot can dictate the amount of square footage available for structure, development, and renovations based on the existing zoning bylaw. services available. Another factor that can influence the location of a structure is the distance between the house to the road where the services are located. Example, the telephone and hydro connections. A house must be minimum distance from the road. However, owners may want to locate the structure a further distance away for additional privacy. Factors that influence structure style: topography, budget, personal preference, sustainability, lifestyle of the owner, structure conformity, and structure age. Pretty much sums it up. Three professionals involved are architect, structural engineer, and municipality. So this is lesson 2. Let's move on to lesson 3. Parking options. Let's see what they say. There's several parking options available for residential properties that may differ in terms of installation or maintenance costs, permit requirements, types of driveway, finished materials, and presence of overhead vehicle shelter. Basically, just this one just tells you like what you need to know about parking. There's shared and private driveways, and for example, residential parking options. There's garages, on-street parking, parking pads, private driveway, carports, and then there are how a building code affects the garages and carports. You can read this. There are several notable stipulations regarding these requirements from various sections of the building code which pertain to floors, walls, doors, and lighting that are discussed in depth. There are also other factors of the building code that pertain to structure design in general, but may also relate to garages, including the following: specific use, structure loads, foundations, wind and water, vapor protection, including vapor barriers. I'm not sure what this is. Let me just read it again. Okay, I don't think this will be that important. We can skip it. If you want to read it, you can go back and read it. Different types of driveway. There's poured concrete, asphalt, and stamped concrete. There's gravel driveway, which are the most popular, and then there's interlocking pavers that they're made of cement, concrete, or brick that just interlock with each other. Exposed grade aggregate. These are relatively popular in driveway finishes and can vary in terms of colors or size. This is pretty cool. Okay, next. There's underground parking, and then there's multi-level parking. So this is lesson 3, just talks about parking. Okay, residential restrictions, because there are some considerations. For example, there may be signs where you cannot park on the street, or you cannot park during some certain hours. So you have to be able to explain that to the seller or the buyer. The buyer. Easements and their effects on residential parking. Easements can have a significant impact on a property, as this can restrict how the owner uses that area. In some older neighborhoods, parking and vehicle access can be problematic, as homes were built closer together and many garages are located in the backyard. So yeah, that's one of the easements that we need to know about. Residential parking permits. A parking permit may be important for a homeowner who cannot park their vehicles overnight. For example, like I said, sometimes the street doesn't allow you to park overnight, especially I believe in Mississauga, Brampton area. There's a restriction. You should not be parking from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. Yeah, you cannot. Most areas you cannot. Common problems and restrictions with residential parking. There's restrictive covenant. There's residential parking availability, and there's commercial vehicle. So let me just recap this. Restrictive covenants are found in subdivisions where homeowners are obligated to conform to various stipulations. For example, a restrictive covenant related to parking could be limitation placed on overnight street parking. Residential parking. A common situation that may restrict a homeowner on street parking availability is the proximity to densely populated areas where there is a higher concentration of vehicles. Commercial parking. Sometimes there may be restrictions that can be placed on commercial vehicles, that you cannot park boats, trailers, bus, or limousines. Continuous vehicle parking. There could be a restriction where a parked vehicle has to be operational and not left on the premises for extended periods of time. Seasonal parking. To minimize build of snow in winter, municipalities will often have restrictions to make sure that to minimize the build of snow in winter, municipalities will have the restrictions that can influence on street parking. For example, some municipalities require that parking be limited to one side of the street to allow access to snow removal vehicles. Okay, that would make sense. So this is lesson 3, just talks about parking. Let's move on to lesson 4, building systems and water moisture. This is a big lesson, so let's go through it. Let's see what the lesson summary says. If you can use this. It doesn't give you that much, so we'll just quickly go through it. Materials used for residential foundations. There's poured concrete, concrete blocks, there's brick stone foundations, and there's insulated concrete, and there's damp proofing materials. Problems with residential foundations. Inward foundation deflection occurs when the foundation is not able to provide sufficient lateral support. Foundation cracks lead to water penetration or infestation of insects. Foundation moisture leads to serious foundation damage. If the damp proofing wall fails, the effluents, example coating of salt on the surface of porous material, may occur on the inside walls. Effluence is a chemical reaction between water and concrete and nearly always indicates moisture penetration. Problems. Areas with post columns for residential construction. Posts and columns could be out of plumb. This could be have an impact on the strength, and it could be as if it's unable to maintain its structural function. Inadequate footing. An inadequate footing refers to a footing that is unable to properly support the foundation and prevents settling. Undersized components when one that is too small or one that may have suffered mechanical damage may collapse and not adequately support its weight. Yes. Unsecured components. A post that is not properly secured to a beam located above it may cause the structure to shift during wind uplift. Moisture damage. Masonry posts may deteriorate due to moisture or poor mortar. Rising dampness is a common problem with brick columns and can be identified by deteriorated mortar and effluents on the bottom of the post. Rust is primary concern for posts or columns constructed with steel. Fire damage, wood and steel posts. Steel beam will fill much earlier due to heat than a solid wood post, but it will not burn. Determining when to recommend a foundation inspection. If you see there's wall problems, if you see the doors or windows are misaligned, if you see water movement, or if you see chimney separation. Types of framing systems: there is a platform framing and there's balloon framing. Platform framing includes wood floor. We learned this in course 1, so we're just gonna skip this. Wood frame wall problems. So there could be problems as the nailing and the openings. Improper placement of nails and using inadequate number of nails can lead to a complication with residential framing system. Condensation. A significant concern for residential framing system is condensation damage. Example, rot to the studs in the exterior walls. This occurs when insulation is being replaced in older houses. Low quality lumber. Studs constructed from low quality lumber are more likely to warp, twist, or bow. Framing and floor system components. There's a beam, joist, sill, and subfloor. Potential problems with floor system. There's springy floors are referred to deflection of the floor. It's important to note the building code permits a certain amount of this to occur. Springy floors can be identified by pliable feeling when pressure is applied. To them. Squeaky floors or subfloors can be identified by an audible sound being emitted when pressure is applied. Water damaged floors can be identified by floor discoloration. Uneven floors can be can be identified visually by sections of the floor that are not level. Bridging and blocking are used to keep joists from twisting. They also help transmit loads from one joist to adjacent joints. This is lesson 4. Wood frame walls are components of framing system that help ensure other building systems such as floors and roofs are supported. Wall systems. The wood frame walls in the framing system are load bearing and carry the weight of the roof and floors down to the foundation. Residential wall problems or indicators are moisture, termites, cracked walls, wood rot, and visible nails. Poor drainage is an essential. Proper drainage is an essential element of a house that prevents numerous problems throughout both interior and exterior building system components. And that's basically all it says. Let's see what it says next. Drainage is a system of drains, either artificial or natural, used to remove water. Several components are involved in this process, such as piping, conduits, ditches, swells, or drainage devices for the runoff of water on land and proximity to the building structure on both surface and subsurface levels. Basements require a proper drainage because prolonged exposure to moisture or stagnant water can affect systems required for the structural support of a home. Water penetration causes are improper grading, defective or absent eavestrough or downspout systems, improperly designed window wells, ineffective drainage systems. Basement leakage indicators, solutions and repairs. Efflorescence. It's the whitish material. We've talked about this. Rusting. Rusty baseboard nails, electrical boxes, and support posts on appliances are signs that may indicate the penetration of water into basement systems. Mold and mildew. in basements can often be a result of some form of high moisture areas or poor ventilation. Stain or discoloration. Staining or discoloration from water penetration can occur in different areas of a structure. And we'll go to the next slide. Yeah, this was pretty much lesson 4. I'm gonna stop right here and take a break, and I'll be making another video for lesson 5, 6, and 7. So hope you check that out. Thank you. Bye.